Next up are the Romance languages. These all have a Latin origin that all dates back to the role of the Roman Empire. So Romance, this isn't like lovemaking. This is more of or pertaining to the Roman Empire. So where do we find these in Southern Europe? There are some exceptions. There are some pockets there that we can see in Greece and Macedonia, in kind of the Balkan Peninsula, but they're in Romania and Moldova are where we also find Romance languages, kind of isolated from the rest of the Romance languages there in Italy, Spain, and France. So what's going on there? What we have is the country of Romania, where guess what? They speak Romanian, which is a Romance language. Romanian is essentially, it's only spoken in Romania and the neighboring country to the north and the east, Moldova. So essentially, this is like the differences between American English and British English in terms of Romanian and Moldovan version of the Romanian language. So if you're in Romania, you probably would even think of Moldovan as its actual own language, because it's Romanian. In fact, many say Moldovan. It's just a unique dialect in terms of a political area, because Moldova used to be part of the Soviet Union, so it has a little bit different characteristics than Romania, which was never part of the Soviet Union in terms of being one of the republics of the USSR. So that's kind of an interesting thing when we look at that isolated group there in Eastern Europe. Now, in the western part, in the southern part of Europe, we see the rest of the Romance languages. So some things we note here. First off, Italy, we can see Italian pretty much from border to border. France, we can see from border to border for the most part. In Spain, for the most part, we can see border to border. So this does overlap with country borders, but not completely. There are some exceptions to that. So first off, we see that very small little country in between France and Spain called Andorra that I introduced earlier in the chapter. Andorra, they speak a particular type of Romance language called Catalan. So something to look for. We see already what makes Andorra unique. Well, first off, they speak Catalan, and they're also stuck up there, isolated in the mountains. But something to look forward to in the future is, will we see new countries come out of Spain? Will Catalan, the people who speak this particular language, they very much see themselves as being unique and different than the rest of the Iberian Peninsula. And will they become their own country? There's already a separatist movement there. Will we actually see secession in what we call Catalonia? And also we see another particular isolated area of Spain, and that's the Basque region. The Basque is actually another isolated language that doesn't really have it's not Romance. It's not a Romance language. It's isolated. So it's very similar to Greek and Albanian, which it's kind of one of these that comes out of nowhere. It's isolated. And once again, we've got the ruggedness of the Pyrenees Mountains maybe helping to create that isolation. But another key thing to mention with the Romance languages, because of colonialism, because of European exploration, we find the Romance languages all throughout the world. In particular, there in the Spanish-speaking countries of the Western Hemisphere. And this is why we see lingua francas from the Romance languages from this particular part of the world being used all throughout the world in various nooks and crannies in different regions we've discussed or will soon discuss. Finally, the Germanic groups, which includes English, but also German, along with several others. So we can see the different versions of the Germanic language in the different colors in the map on the left. And all that means is essentially there were different migrations of the Germanic groups that lived in kind of, go figure, in Germany and in present-day Denmark. Essentially, they migrate over time, and then as they migrate, they bring with them their language, but then they become isolated. So then over time, the languages evolved, and they become, more distinguishable from one to the next. And today we can see, an English person speaking an English speaker speaking to someone who speaks German, you're not going to get anywhere. And same with, someone who is Swedish speaking to someone who's Dutch. So this is kind of the moral of the story here, is the Germanic languages are very, very different, but they are all of the same origin. Unlike the Romance languages, however, we know that the Romance languages have that Latin origin. Their Germanic, it's still kind of to be determined. Essentially, the parent language for the Germanic languages was never recorded, so it's unknown. But what's going on here further is we have, once again, the role of colonialism, and especially when we think about the British and the English. The reason why we speak English in the United States, the reason why they speak English in Jamaica, the reason why they speak English in India has to do with, of course, colonialism. But you do see some isolation. For example, Iceland, very much isolated because it's stuck way up there. You just also get different variations in Wales, in the Scottish Highlands when you get to more of the rugged areas. But the Germanic, in terms of number of speakers, a large number of speakers in Europe, but also globally.